Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his warship. He looked at the screens that showed empty space around Earth. For 3 months now, the human colonies had gone quiet. One by one, they stopped talking to Earth. No goodbye messages, no calls for help, just silence. "Admiral Morrison, sir," called out Kate Sullivan from her station. "I'm seeing something big coming toward us, really big." Jake walked over to look at her screen. The numbers made his stomach drop. 47 ships were flying toward Earth's solar system. Each one was huge, bigger than anything humans had ever built. The ships looked strange too. They had parts that looked human, but other parts that looked completely alien. "Sir, they're trying to talk to us," said Ryan Peters from the communication desk. "The message is in English, but it's using old codes, really old codes from hundreds of years ago." "Put it on the main screen," Jake ordered. The big screen at the front of the bridge lit up. What Jake saw made everyone on the bridge stop talking. A woman sat on what looked like a throne. She had long dark hair and bright green eyes. Her clothes looked like something a queen would wear, but they also looked practical for space travel. Strange symbols covered her outfit. "I am Queen Helena Cross of the Void Dynasty," the woman said. Her voice was strong and confident. "I have come back to take what belongs to my people. Earth will pay for what it did to us." The message ended. The bridge was completely quiet. Jake's mind was racing. The name Helena Cross sounded familiar. He had heard it somewhere before, but he could not remember where. "Get me Dr. Amy Foster from the Colonial Archive Station," Jake said. "Right now." While they waited, Jake studied the enemy ships on his screen. The ships were black and looked dangerous. They moved in perfect formation, like they had been fighting together for a very long time. Some of the ships had weapon systems he had never seen before. Others had armor that seemed to be made from different types of metal welded together. "Admiral Dr. Foster is on the line," Kate reported. "Amy, I need you to look up everything you can find about someone named Helena Cross. It's urgent," Jake said. "Helena Cross? That name is in the old colonial records. Give me a few minutes to pull up the files," Amy replied. Jake waited. On his screen, the enemy fleet was getting closer to Earth. They were not attacking yet, but they were definitely not friendly visitors. Each ship looked like it had been in many battles. They had scars and patches all over them. But they also looked incredibly advanced. "Admiral, I found it," Amy's voice came through the speakers. Helena Cross was part of something called the Deep Void Initiative in 2157. She was the daughter of a colony ship captain named Marcus Cross. They led 17 ships with over 2 million people toward the Andromeda Galaxy. "What happened to them?" Jake asked. "They disappeared. The official report says they encountered some kind of space problem and were lost. But Admiral, that was over 200 years ago. If this is the same Helena Cross, she should be dead." Jake looked at the enemy ships again. 200 years was a long time. Long enough for people to change, long enough for them to become something completely different. "Sir, the enemy fleet has stopped moving," Kate reported. "They're just sitting there at the edge of our solar system." "Are they scanning us?" Jake asked. "Yes, sir. But their scans are unlike anything I've ever seen. It's like they can see through our ships completely." Jake made a decision. "Send a message to all Earth Defense Forces. Tell them to prepare for battle, but do not attack unless I give the order. Something is not right here." He walked to the front of the bridge and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, 47 enemy ships waited. Ships commanded by a woman who claimed to be over 200 years old. Ships that looked human but also alien. Ships that represented a mystery from Earth's colonial past. "Sir, incoming transmission from the lead enemy ship," Ryan said. "Put it through." Helena Cross appeared on the screen again. This time, Jake could see more details. She looked young, maybe 30 years old, but her eyes looked old, like she had seen things that aged her soul even if her body stayed young. "Admiral Morrison," she said, somehow knowing his name. "I see you are trying to understand who we are. Let me help you. We are the children of Earth who were left to die in the cold darkness of space. We survived. We grew strong. And now we have returned. What do you want? Jake asked. Justice, Helena replied. For 200 years, Earth forgot about us. You lived comfortable lives while we fought aliens, diseases, and the emptiness of space itself. We built an empire from nothing. We became something new, something better than what we left behind. If you wanted to destroy Earth, you would have done it already, Jake said. So what do you really want? Helena smiled, but it was not a happy smile. I want Earth to remember. I want you to see what humanity can become when it refuses to give up, and I want you to understand that we are not your enemies. We are your family, a family you abandoned. The transmission ended again. Jake stood there thinking. Around him, his crew worked quietly, preparing for whatever might happen next. Outside, the stars looked the same as always, but Jake knew that everything had changed. The queen of a forgotten human colony had returned. She commanded ships that could probably destroy Earth's entire fleet. But instead of attacking, she was talking. That meant something. Jake just had to figure out what. Set course for the enemy fleet, Jake ordered. We're going to meet them halfway. Sir, is that wise? Kate asked. Probably not, Jake replied. But it's the right thing to do. If these people really are our lost colonists, then we owe them the truth, whatever that truth might be. Amy Foster ran through the halls of the Colonial Archive Station. Her arms were full of old books and data files. As Earth's top expert on colonial history, she had been called to an emergency meeting. The government needed to know everything about the mysterious fleet that was now sitting at the edge of their solar system. Here, she said as she burst into the council room. She was breathing hard from running. The Cross Expedition of 2157. This is everything we have about them. Senator Paul Martinez looked worried. His gray hair was messy like he had been running his hands through it. Tell us what happened to these people, Dr. Foster. Amy turned on the holographic display in the center of the room. Star charts from 200 years ago appeared in the air. 17 colony ships left Earth in 2157. They carried 2.3 million people, men, women, children, entire families. They were heading for the Andromeda Galaxy to start humanity's first colonies outside our own galaxy. That's impossible, said General Lisa Wang. Even with our best ships today, Andromeda is too far away. They had new technology back then. Experimental faster-than-light drives that could fold space. The journey was supposed to take 5 years, Amy explained. But 18 months after they left, something went wrong. The display showed communication, logs from the missing ships. The last message we received talked about a tear in space, some kind of hole in reality itself. Then nothing. Earth Command declared them lost and sealed all the records. Amy looked around the room at the worried faces. But if Helena Cross is really who she says she is, then they didn't die. They survived whatever happened to them. Paul Martinez stood up. 200 years, Dr. Foster. How could they survive that long? And how did they build those ships? Our best engineers say the technology on those vessels is centuries ahead of anything we have. Amy shook her head. I don't know. But the fact that they're here, with that kind of technology, means they've been through things we can't even imagine. Meanwhile, far from Earth, Queen Helena Cross walked through her flagship. The ship was called Retribution, and it showed the story of her people's survival. The walls were made from metal taken from the original colony ships, but they had been strengthened with materials that didn't exist on Earth. Alien metals that could survive direct hits from weapons that could destroy planets. Helena's second in command, Admiral Carl Blake, walked beside her. His family had served Helena's family for 5 generations. His great-great-grandfather had been a simple mechanic on one of the original colony ships. My queen, Earth's military is getting ready to fight us. They have about 400 ships, but their weapons are weak compared to ours, Carl reported. Helena nodded. She had expected this. Earth had always solved problems with violence first, questions second. Good. Let them see what humans can become when they refuse to die quietly. They walked past windows that showed the vastness of space. But Helena wasn't looking at the stars. She was remembering stories her grandmother had told her about Earth. about blue skies and green grass, about a world where humans didn't have to fight every day just to survive. Carl, do you ever wonder what life would have been like if Earth hadn't abandoned us? Helena asked. Carl was quiet for a moment. I think we would have been weak, my queen, comfortable and weak. What happened to us was terrible, but it made us strong, stronger than Earth ever could have been. Helena stopped walking and looked out at the stars. Perhaps you're right, but strength alone isn't enough. We need to be better than the people who left us to die. Back on Earth, Amy Foster was still explaining the history to the Emergency Council. She had found more records, including personal diaries from some of the colonists. Listen to this, she said, reading from a holographic document. This is from Maria Cross, Helena's great-great-grandmother. Day 547 since the rift closed behind. Now the children are asking when we can go home. I don't know what to tell them. Earth feels like a dream now, a beautiful dream that we can never return to. The room was silent. General Wang spoke first. These people have been alone in space for 2 centuries. No contact with home. No help from Earth. How did they survive? Amy brought up more documents. From what I can piece together, they encountered other alien species. Some were friendly and traded with them. Others were hostile. The colonists had to fight, sometimes for years at a time, just to protect their families. She showed pictures that had been attached to some of the later messages before contact was completely lost. Children playing in metal corridors, adults working with strange alien technology, families living in what looked like military bunkers. They adapted, Amy continued. They took alien technology and combined it with human engineering. They learned to fight like soldiers while still raising families. They became something new. Senator Martinez looked sick. We abandoned them. For 200 years, we just assumed they were dead and forgot about them. It gets worse, Amy said quietly. I found classified documents from the time period. Earth Command knew the colonists might have survived, but they decided it was too expensive to send a rescue mission. They officially declared the expedition lost and moved on. The room erupted in angry voices. General Wang slammed her hand on the table. We left our own people to die because it cost too much to save them? That's exactly what we did, Amy replied. And now they've come back. Not as the weak, desperate colonists they once were, but as something much more powerful. On her flagship, Helena received a message from Earth. It was from Admiral Morrison asking for a meeting to discuss terms. Helena smiled as she read the message. Carl, prepare my personal ship. I think it's time I had a conversation with Earth's leaders. Are you sure that's safe, my queen? This could be a trap, Carl warned. Helena laughed. Carl, we've survived wars with species that could destroy solar systems for fun. I think I can handle a meeting with a few Earth politicians. As Helena's ship separated from the fleet and headed toward Earth, she thought about what she would say to the people who had abandoned her family. She had spent her entire life preparing for this moment, the moment when the forgotten children of Earth would demand to be remembered. The ship's computer announced their arrival at Earth's atmosphere. Helena looked down at the blue and green world below. It was beautiful, just like the stories had said. But beauty meant nothing if the hearts of the people living there were cold. This is Queen Helena Cross requesting permission to land. She transmitted to Earth's traffic control. The response came immediately. Permission granted. Landing pad 7 at the United Nations building. Helena smiled again. Finally, after 200 years, the lost children of Earth were coming home. The battle started at sunrise. Helena's death fleet appeared near Mars without any warning. Their black ship seemed to eat the light from the stars around them. Each ship showed signs of many battles. Some had armor plates that clearly came from other alien vessels. Others had weapon systems that Earth's military had never seen before. Admiral Morrison watched from his bridge as the enemy ships moved into perfect formation. They moved like they had been fighting together for decades. Every ship knew exactly where to go and what to do. All ships, fire everything you have, Morrison ordered into his communication system. Earth's entire defense fleet opened fire at once. Hundreds of energy beams and missiles shot toward the black ships. Morrison expected to see explosions. Instead, he watched in horror as the alien ship's shields absorbed every single attack without even flickering. Helena stood in her command center, watching the battle unfold on her screens. Around her, the crew worked with smooth efficiency. These people had been born in space. They had grown up fighting for their lives against alien enemies. Earth's military was strong, but they had never faced anything like the Void Dynasty. Admiral Blake launched the Reaper Squadron, Helena commanded calmly. "Yes, my queen," Carl replied, sending orders to the fighter bays. What came out of Helena's ships looked nothing like Earth's fighter craft. These ships moved like living creatures. They twisted and turned in ways that should have been impossible. Their weapons didn't explode when they hit Earth ships. Instead, the Earth ships simply stopped existing, as if they had been erased from reality. Captain Nina Torres commanded an Earth destroyer called Horizon. She watched 3 of these impossible fighters approach her ship. Her weapons couldn't hit them. They were too fast and moved in patterns that her computers couldn't predict. "All hands, prepare for impact," Nina announced to her crew. But the impact never came. Instead, one of the alien fighters opened a communication channel. "Earthship, power down your weapons and you will not be harmed," came a voice that sounded almost human. "Why are you doing this?" Nina asked desperately. "We're all human here." The fighter pilot's response sent chills down Nina's spine. "Because you left us to die alone in the darkness between stars. We learned that survival requires strength, and strength requires sacrifice." Nina's ship systems began failing one by one, not destroyed, just turned off. Her ship was disabled, but her crew was alive. All around the battlefield, the same thing was happening to other Earth vessels. On Earth, people in the major cities watched the battle on their televisions and computers. The news reporters struggled to explain what they were seeing. Humanity was fighting itself, and the forgotten branch of the human family was winning easily. President Dan Foster spoke to the world from a secure bunker deep underground. He was trying to stay calm, but everyone could hear the fear in his voice. "My fellow citizens," he began, "we are facing an enemy unlike anything we have ever encountered. But they are not aliens. They are us. Our own people changed by hardships we cannot understand." As if she had heard his words, Helena's image suddenly appeared on every screen on Earth. Every television, every computer, every phone displayed her face. Her voice came from every speaker on the planet. "People of Earth," Helena said, her voice strong and clear. "I am Queen Helena Cross. I am the daughter of colonists you abandoned 200 years ago. I am the ruler of humanity's forgotten children." The image shifted to show scenes from Helena's empire, cities built inside the bodies of dead alien creatures. Human children playing with technology that looked like magic. Massive fleets patrolling solar systems that Earth had never even heard of. "For 2 centuries, we have built an empire among the stars. We have fought wars with alien species that could destroy your entire solar system without effort. We have survived plagues, disasters, and the cold emptiness of space itself. We did this while you lived comfortable lives on your safe, warm planet." Helena's image changed again, showing the battle near Mars. Earth's ships were being disabled, one by one, but their crews were being rescued by Helena's forces. "I am not here to destroy you," Helena continued. "I am here to show you what humanity can become when it refuses to accept defeat, when it refuses to abandon its family." In his bunker, President Foster made a decision. He opened a direct communication channel to Helena's flagship. "Queen Helena," he said, his image appearing on screens throughout Helena's ship. "I am President Dan Foster of Earth. What do you want from us?" Helena looked at him through the screen. Her green eyes seemed to see right through him. "I want recognition, President Foster. I want Earth to admit that you abandoned us, and I want you to understand that we survived because we are stronger than you ever imagined humans could be. Our records show that your expedition was lost in a space accident," Foster replied carefully. Helena laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "Your records lie, President Foster. Would you like to see what really happened to us?" Without waiting for an answer, Helena began transmitting data to Earth, old messages that had been hidden in classified files, Communications that showed Earth had known the colonists were alive but chose not to help them. Around the world, people watched in shock as the truth was revealed. Their government had abandoned millions of their own people to save money and resources. "We called for help for 50 years, Helena said, her voice filled with old pain. "We sent messages begging Earth to send rescue ships. We told you about the alien species we had encountered. We shared discoveries that could have advanced human civilization by centuries. And you ignored us." She stood up from her throne and walked closer to the camera. "So we stopped calling. We stopped being your lost colony. We became something new. We became the Void Dynasty. We became the future of humanity." The communication ended, leaving Earth in stunned silence. President Foster stared at the blank screen, realizing that everything was about to change. Above Mars, the battle was over. Helena's fleet had disabled most of Earth's military without killing anyone. It was a demonstration of power, not an act of war. Helena returned to her throne and looked out at Earth through her ship's windows. The blue and green planet looked so peaceful from space. It was hard to believe that the people living there had hearts cold enough to abandon their own families. "Carl," she said to her second-in-command, "send a message to Earth's leaders. Tell them I want to meet with them in person. It's time for the children of Earth to come home." Colonel Steve Murphy worked deep underground in Earth's most secret military archives. He had been ordered to find everything about the Deep Void Initiative. What he found made him feel sick to his stomach. "This can't be right," he whispered to himself as he read through classified documents that had been buried for 200 years. The files showed the truth about what had happened to the lost colonists. Earth hadn't just lost contact with them. The government had deliberately cut off all communication and abandoned them. Murphy called his team together. Lieutenant Bobby Gray and Captain Sue Johnson came down to the archive room to see what he had found. "Look at this," Murphy said, showing them a document on his screen. "This is a report from Earth Command dated 2159. It says the colonists successfully established their settlements and found advanced alien technology." Bobby read over his shoulder. If they were successful, why did Earth Command declare them lost? "Because of this," Murphy replied, bringing up another document. "The colonists found alien ruins with technology that could change everything. Faster than light travel, unlimited energy, weapons beyond our understanding. But instead of celebrating, Earth's corporate leaders saw a problem." Sue looked confused. "What kind of problem?" Murphy pulled up financial records from the time period. If the colonists came back with that technology, it would have destroyed Earth's economy. The big corporations would have lost their power. The politicians would have lost control, so they made a choice. The documents showed secret meetings between government officials and corporate leaders. Plans to cut all communication with the colonists and pretend they had died in space. "They abandoned millions of people to protect their own power," Sue said, her voice filled with anger. "It gets worse," Murphy continued. "The colonists kept sending messages for 50 years. They begged for help. They offered to share their discoveries with Earth. They sent detailed reports about alien species and new technologies, and every single message was buried in these classified files." Bobby sat down heavily in a chair. "So Elena Cross is telling the truth. We really did abandon them." Murphy nodded. "And now they've survived for 200 years without us. They've built an empire spanning multiple galaxies. They've become something we never imagined humans could become." "We have to tell someone about this," Sue said. "Tell who?" Murphy asked. "The same government that made this decision? The same people who have been lying about it for 200 years? Above ground, the world was in chaos. Helena's demonstration of power near Mars had shown everyone that Earth was no longer the dominant human civilization. People demanded answers from their leaders. Admiral Morrison sat in his damaged flagship, thinking about his conversation with Helena Cross. She had called him directly after the battle, not to gloat about her victory, but to explain why it had been necessary. "Admiral Morrison," Helena had said, "I need you to understand something. We didn't come here to conquer Earth. We came here to show you what you lost when you abandoned us." Morrison had asked the question that was bothering him most. How did you survive out there for so long? Helena's expression had grown sad. We survived because we had no choice. When the space rift closed behind us, we found ourselves in a part of the universe where humans had never been. We encountered 17 different alien species. Some tried to help us. Others tried to destroy us. She had shown him images of battles in space. Human ships fighting creatures that looked like living nightmares. Families hiding in asteroid bases while alien fleets hunted them. We learned to fight, Admiral. We learned to take what we needed from our enemies. We learned to make alliances with species that could help us. Most importantly, we learned that survival requires both strength and wisdom. Morrison had seen more images. Human cities built inside the shells of enormous alien creatures. Children learning to use technology that seemed like magic. Scientists working with alien partners to develop new ways of traveling through space. You became something incredible, Morrison had admitted. We became what humans were always meant to be, Helena had replied. Explorers, survivors, a species that refuses to give up no matter what the universe throws at us. Now, as Morrison waited for orders from Earth, he wondered if his government would tell him the truth about what had really happened to the colonists. He suspected they wouldn't. His suspicions were confirmed when Colonel Murphy's report reached Earth's military command. Instead of being shared with the public, it was immediately classified at the highest level. Only a handful of people were allowed to read it. President Foster was one of them. When he finished reading Murphy's report, he sat alone in his office for a long time. The truth was worse than he had imagined. His secretary knocked on his door. Mr. President, Queen Helena is requesting a meeting. She says she wants to come to Earth to speak with world leaders. Foster looked out his window at the sky. Somewhere up there, Helena's fleet waited patiently. Ships filled with humans who had survived things that would have destroyed Earth's civilization. Tell her yes, Foster said finally. Arrange a meeting at the United Nations building. It's time we face the truth about what we did. Helena received Earth's response while standing in her private quarters aboard the Retribution. The room was decorated with artifacts from dozens of different alien worlds, crystals that generated their own light, metals that changed color based on her mood, art created by species that had existed for millions of years. But the most important decoration was a simple photograph. It showed her great-great-grandmother as a young woman, standing next to a window on one of the original colony ships. She was looking out at space with hope in her eyes, dreaming of the new worlds her family would build. We kept your dream alive, grandmother, Helena whispered to the photograph. We survived. We thrived. And now we're going home. Carl Blake entered the room. My queen, Earth has agreed to meet with you, but our intelligence suggests they have classified documents about the abandonment. They may try to deny what they did. Helena smiled. Let them try, Carl. We have the communication logs. We have the messages we sent that were never answered. We have 200 years of evidence that we survived on our own. She walked to another wall of her room, where weapons from various alien species were displayed. Each one represented a victory against impossible odds. Each one was a reminder that humanity could overcome anything if it refused to surrender. Prepare my shuttle, Carl. It's time the children of Earth had a conversation with their parents. A conversation that's been 200 years in the making. Helena Cross did not arrive at the United Nations building in a normal way. She simply appeared in the General Assembly Hall, her atoms reassembling from nothing right in front of the podium. The transportation technology her people had developed was so advanced that it bypassed every security system on Earth without even triggering an alarm. The representatives from every nation on Earth sat in shocked silence. They had been expecting Helena to land in a shuttle like any normal visitor. Instead, she had just materialized in front of them like magic. Helena wore simple but elegant clothes. No crown, no royal symbols. She looked like any other human woman, except for her eyes. Her green eyes held the wisdom of someone who had seen the rise and fall of entire civilizations. Leaders of Earth, Helena began, her voice carrying clearly through the large hall. I stand before you not as a conqueror but as a mirror. You abandoned us because you feared what we might become. Your fear forced us to become something far greater than you ever imagined. Secretary General Maria Santos was the first to find her voice. Queen Helena, what do you want from us? Helena gestured with her hand, and suddenly the air around her filled with holographic images. The technology was so advanced that it seemed like magic to the Earth representatives. The images showed incredible sights from across the galaxy. Cities, floating in space, each one home to millions of humans. Children playing with alien creatures that looked like friendly dragons. Scientists working alongside beings made of pure energy. Fleets of human ships patrolling star systems to protect alien species from dangerous enemies. I want recognition, Helena said simply. Recognition that the Void Dynasty is a legitimate human civilization. Recognition that we are your equals, not your subjects. And most importantly, recognition that humanity's greatest achievements happened after you abandoned us. President Foster stood up slowly. His face was pale. He had read the classified reports. He knew the truth about what Earth had done. And if we refuse your demands? Helena's expression didn't change, but the temperature in the room seemed to drop. Then you will continue to live your small lives on your small planet while we explore the infinite universe. But you will live knowing that humanity's greatest heroes are the people you threw away. Admiral Morrison was sitting in the military observer section. He had been studying Helena's fleet for weeks now, and what he had learned amazed him. You could destroy our entire planet in minutes. Why are you offering us partnership instead? Helena turned to look at him directly. Because, Admiral Morrison, we are still human. Despite everything we have endured, despite the incredible changes we have undergone, we remember what it means to love. We remember hope. And some part of us still remembers that Earth was once our home. She waved her hand again, and the holographic images changed. Now they showed the early days of the colony ships, when Helena's ancestors had first arrived in their new part of the galaxy. The images showed desperate people working 18 hours a day just to survive. Children crying for their parents, who had died in alien attacks. Families huddled together in makeshift shelters while hostile creatures prowled outside. We had a choice, Helena continued. We could have become monsters. We could have let the darkness and pain turn us into something evil. Instead, we chose to become better. We chose to protect the weak. We chose to build rather than destroy. More images appeared. Human soldiers fighting alongside alien allies to protect innocent civilizations. Human doctors treating alien children who had been injured in wars. Human teachers sharing knowledge with species that had never seen the stars. We became the guardians of our part of the galaxy, Helena said. We stopped 3 different extinction events. We negotiated peace between species that had been fighting for millennia. We discovered new forms of life and helped them thrive. Senator Paul Martinez spoke up. What proof do we have that any of this is true? Helena smiled for the first time since arriving. Admiral Morrison, would you like to tell them about the sensor readings your ship took during our battle near Mars? Morrison stood up, looking embarrassed. Our scans showed that Queen Helena's ships are carrying life forms from dozens of different species. Not as prisoners, but as crew members. We detected children on those ships, families. This isn't a military invasion force, it's a civilization, Helena nodded. Many of the people serving in my fleet aren't even human. They're aliens who chose to join us because they believe in what we represent. They believe that all intelligent life deserves to be protected and helped to grow. The room was quiet for a long moment. Finally, Secretary General Santos asked the question everyone was thinking. What exactly are you proposing? A new relationship, Helena replied. Earth will acknowledge the Void Dynasty as an independent human civilization. We will establish trade agreements and share non-military technologies. In return, we will help protect Earth from the dangers you don't even know exist yet. What are dangers? President Foster asked. Helena's expression grew serious. There are things in this universe that could destroy Earth without even noticing it exists. Ancient machines left behind by dead civilizations. Alien species that eat entire galaxies. reality storms that can erase matter from existence. We have dealt with all of these threats and more. Earth has been protected by its isolation, but that isolation is ending. She gestured again, and the holographic display showed a map of the local galaxy. Red markers indicated various threats moving toward Earth's region of space. Within 50 years, at least 3 of these dangers will reach Earth's solar system. Your current technology cannot stop them, but together, our combined knowledge and resources can. General Lisa Wang asked, "Why should we trust you?" Helena looked at her with sad eyes. "Because, General, trust is all we have left. We could have arrived here with weapons firing. We could have conquered Earth in days and ruled you as subjects. Instead, we disabled your fleet without killing anyone. We came here asking for friendship." The debate that followed lasted for hours. Representatives argued about the risks of working with the Void Dynasty. Some feared that Helena's advanced technology would destabilize Earth's economy. Others worried that her people were too alien now, too changed by their experiences to be trustworthy. But in the end, the vote was clear. Earth would recognize the Void Dynasty and establish formal relations with them. As Helena prepared to leave, she made one final statement. "Humanity's greatest strength has never been our weapons or our technology. It has been our ability to forgive our family and work together despite our differences." 6 months later, the first joint mission between Earth and the Void Dynasty launched toward a distant galaxy. The ship carried scientists, soldiers, and civilians from both civilizations. Human children from Earth played alongside human children who had been born in the void between stars. They laughed together as they learned about each other's worlds. Helena stood on the observation deck of her flagship, watching Earth shrink in the distance. Admiral Morrison stood beside her. He had volunteered to serve as Earth's first ambassador to the Void Dynasty. "Any regrets about coming back?" Morrison asked. Helena thought about the question carefully. "Only that it took us 200 years to come home. But perhaps that was necessary. Perhaps we needed those 2 centuries to become strong enough to forgive you." Morrison nodded. "What happens now?" Helena smiled, and this time it was genuinely happy. "Now we show the universe what humanity can accomplish when it works together. Earth's safety and our strength, combined with the wisdom we've gained from our alien allies, we're going to become something amazing." As Helena's death fleet jumped into hyperspace, carrying with them the seeds of a new age for humanity, Earth began to change. The technologies shared by the Void Dynasty revolutionized life on the planet. But more importantly, the people of Earth began to understand that their species was capable of incredible things when it refused to give up. The Queen of the Forgotten Colony had returned. She had brought with her not conquest, but hope. Hope that humanity's greatest adventures were just beginning.